and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we
what
talk
does that
about
mean
traditional
to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
To my fellow conservatives, let me help you out when it comes to defining what woke is. So over the past week or so, the definition of what woke is has come to the forefront. It started with, I believe her name is Bethany Mandel or something like that, when she went on this show and she struggled to define what woke was.
And probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional...
What does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Or you have this latest video of Dana Perino talking about woke is a feeling or something you just know, like pornography.
Woke is, can you explain it to your mom? Think about that. And I remember when President Trump was running, and this was before he won in 2016, he used to get standing ovations initially when he would say, political correctness is ruining our country. And everybody that was clapping knew exactly what he meant. But it's sort of like the Supreme Court definition of pornography. You know it when you see it. So the Democrats want to get you in an argument where you're having to define wokeism as if the Webster's dictionary is defining it. And that's not what it is. It could be a feeling. It could be a sense. And I wonder if Republicans or conservatives are going to have to define it more. She could be right. I don't know. This will be tested. But the other poll numbers you showed are important. The one thing I don't see any candidate really doing right now is talking about a plan for pro-growth economic means. And that's what Americans are pretty desperately looking for.
Or you have other examples of people trying to find what woke is. Let me help my fellow conservative brethren out. Woke is essentially anything that is anti-God, anti-human, anti-American. It is a normalization of sin and behavior that is destructive to a person and a society. You can use that definition and you can apply it to anything. It's really emphasizing the ideals of a Marxist sociology, of a Marxist ideology, and people that are proponents of that. So, for example, you have Marianne Williamson, who's running for president. She had a service years ago where she had white people apologizing to black people.
As I speak, I'm going to ask the white Americans in the room to please repeat after me. On behalf of myself and on behalf of my country, to you and all African Americans, from the beginning of our nation's history, in honor of your ancestors and on behalf of your children, please hear this from my heart. I apologize. Please forgive us. With this prayer, I acknowledge the depth of the evils that have been perpetrated against Black people in America. From slavery to lynchings to white supremacist laws to the denial of voting rights to all the ways, both large and small, all of them evil, all of them wrong, for all the oppression and all of the injustices. I apologize. Please forgive us for the denial of any civil rights, for inequalities in criminal justice, to any instances of police brutality, to the denial of opportunity, for economic injustice, for any ways that a racial element has played into the perpetration of injustice. I apologize. Please forgive us.
By definition, that is woke, because no other person should apologize to another person for something that they did not do, and for something that maybe their ancestors did not do, and for something that that person was not the victim of. That's a victim mentality. That is something that's woke. What is not woke? Lift every voice and sing. That is not woke. Some people may call it woke. They may think it's woke. That is not woke, people. Because see, you have to understand the origins of woke. Woke started back in the 60s from the Black liberation ideology, from the Black Panthers and things like that, to say that they are hip to what's going on in society. That's where it came from. That's the original definition of what woke is. And the problem that I have with some of my brethren on the conservative side is that they're using woke as a catch-all, and you're demeaning the value of it. Everything is not woke. This is woke.
Legislation that may or may not yet be on your radar. Last week, I introduced the Central Bank Digital Currency Anti-Surveillance State Act to halt the efforts of unelected bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. from stripping Americans of their right to financial privacy. Digital assets in the digital economy are the future, but the Federal Reserve should play no role in developing a central bank digital currency, or otherwise known as a CBDC. The consequences, if we get it wrong, are far too serious. The Biden administration is currently itching to create a digital authoritarian-styled surveillance-style digital dollar. And through an executive order, they are pursuing analysis on a retail CBDC that would not be open, permissionless, or private. In fact, it would be ridden with significant risk to Americans' privacy, security, financial inclusion, and a whole lot more. This kind of digital currency would give the federal government access to and control over literally every financial transaction conducted by Americans.
Drag queens performing at children's schools, that's woke. But everything that can be, quote unquote, outside of the norm and not necessarily culturally understandable to someone is not woke. I'm sorry, it's not woke. Now, you can call it cultural appropriation, you can call it virtue signaling, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but don't call it woke, because you're demeaning the value of what woke really means. Honestly, I would call it more like a secular progressive ideology, but people like to use a quick term so everybody can understand it. So that's how this woke became so prominent in our lexicon today. It's the word of the generation, essentially, woke. And so its meaning has been changed. I know a lot of black people like, man, I'm tired of folks using the word woke. They don't understand. They've taken it and they've changed it. Well, to my black brothers, I say the same thing about the N-word. You say you've appropriated that and changed the meaning of that, and you use it all the time. I disagree with that. The same way I disagree with some people using woke all the time. It's the same exact thing. But to my conservative brethren, I hope this helps you when it comes to defining what woke is and being able to argue. Because as Jen Psaki said, you can't just use this woke term blanketly. You have to be able to explain it. You have to be able to explain why woke is hurting people in their pocketbooks. When Joe Biden vetoed the ESG bill, ESG is wokeness. ESG is using social progressive ideology, anti-human ideology, because climate change is all anti-human, is using that ideology to cause people to invest in companies that may not perform well, so therefore you're losing money on your retirement funds. That is woke, okay?
With a new platform, she's taking on Republicans' fight against wokeness and whether voters will embrace it.
It seems that blaming woke politics for problems big and small has become a one-size-fits-all response for Republicans lately. For Republicans, wokeness is public enemy number one. They clearly think it's a winning message ahead of 2024. And it makes you think, are they onto something? My gut here is no. You don't need to be too worried about their war on woke, because the Republican crusade against wokeness may not be as potent of a campaign issue as they may hope. So everyone out there, it sounds like you can let your woke flag fly.
But don't use woke just for anything you don't like. Too many people use that phrase to address and categorize something that they do not like. And that will backfire, especially when you're looking to expand your tent to bring more diversity into the Republican fold. So just a little bit of advice for my conservative brethren. Let's use it appropriately. Let's define it and use it in its proper context.